In a world where losing in your fantasy football league isn't an option, we present to you Triple Coverage Podcast.
Hey YouTubers, make sure you click subscribe below if you like what you see. Today we're going to start our series Flex Coverage. We're right back to it. It's September, it's NFL season, so crack a cold one and enjoy.
In a world where losing in your fantasy football league isn't an option, we present to you Triple Coverage Podcast.
Put my chip in the basket? I've never said that. You should have put my chip in the basket? I've never said that line ever. I thought you put lotion in the basket, no? So I said put the chip in the basket? I've never said that. If I had to put my chip in the basket, maybe chips in a basket, I don't know. Is it chip in a basket? That's what I'm saying. I will put my foot down on this and say that I guarantee something else is going on there. I thought you were going to put your reputation on the line.
Welcome back everyone. We're here on a Saturday morning with Triple Coverage Podcast, and I am Jay Up, and I'm here with my brother James.
Whoa.
We're still missing one guy. He just been, in and out.
It's almost like he has a second job.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know what his deal is.
me either. We'll figure it out.
But we're here, and if you listened to us at all last year, you kind of remember we did this during the NFL season. We did a flex coverage. Every Saturday morning, we kind of give you some ideas on who to put in your lineups in the flex spot.
Who can you trust? Who do you feel confident with?
So what we're going to do is we're going to pick names out of a hat
Mhm.
that will probably be on your flex radar. Now, these aren't going to be running back ones and twos or wide receiver ones and twos. These are going to be like guys that are down like in the 30 range, 30, 40 range.
But very viable options.
Right. And we'll
To
kind of give you an argument. And obviously, week one, there's no bye week, so you may be actually pressed with some of these decisions to have to make. And we're just going to give you some tidbits along the way. So let's get it started, and we'll both pick a name out of the hat.
I'm going to go first. Go ahead.
I have Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is hopefully your wide receiver 3 or 4 if you drafted well enough. I actually love Cooper Kupp this week. He plays on Monday night, the very last game of Monday night. It's a 7 o'clock West Coast start time. So if you're on the East Coast, you're talking about a 10 p.m. game. You might not be able to find out until Tuesday morning how he
Right.
did.
Mhm.
But I love every single possibility on this Rams offense. I
Me
think
too.
the Raiders defense is hot garbage right now. They
Losing
weren't even
Mack.
they weren't even that good before they lost Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
So now you take Mack out of it, and I think Goff's going to have all day to throw. So give me as many Rams you can possibly get. Gurley, give me Woods, give me Kupp, give me Cooks. But Kupp is always going to be their PPR guy.
Any concern that they get such a big lead that they just run Gurley and they run John Kelly and whoever else in the backfield and kind of just run the clock out in the second half, meaning if Cooper Kupp doesn't get his in the first half, he could possibly have just an okay game because they won't need to throw in the second half. That's my concern because I think they roll the Raiders. I think that they beat them easily. And if he's not one of those guys that gets 5 or 6 catches in the first half, it's very possible that it could be a Robert Woods game or it could be a Brandon Cooks game or just a Todd Gurley game by running.
Here's why I don't think that.
Okay.
I think that regardless of how much they're ahead by or if it's a blowout or whatnot, I believe that Cooper Kupp is the PPR guy.
Right.
And he's not the guy that really goes deep. So if they have a 20 or 21 point lead in the fourth quarter, to me, that kind of takes out Robert Woods and possibly even Brandon Cooks. But you still have Cooper Kupp in the game as your slot guy, and if you're just trying to run the clock, you're going to get a lot of runs, you're going to get a lot of slants, you're going to get a lot of just let's pick up 5-6 yards at a time.
Possession.
As opposed to going deep and trying to get a 40-yard bomb down the field, because that's not Cooper Kupp's game.
Would you start Cooper Kupp over the other two guys, Brandon Cooks and Robert Woods?
I would probably start Kupp over Woods, but I don't know if I'd start him over Cooks. I want to see.
Okay.
Let's face it. The whole entire preseason, we didn't see any of their starting offense.
Correct.
Goff,
Haven't shown
Gurley,
much.
Woods, didn't see
Right.
anything. So I don't know how they're going to use Cooks.
Right.
So I'm holding off on starting him ahead of Cooks, but I would feel confident in starting him ahead of Woods.
Okay. I agree. I have Corey Davis, who I just we're going over how we're going to do this. I'm like, let's just say I pull Corey Davis, and sure enough, Corey Davis.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually like Corey Davis. I don't know if I'm a full believer in him for the entire season. He's playing week 1 on the road in Miami. I'm not scared of Miami's defense whatsoever, and I'm so looking forward to seeing Tennessee's new offense because just like the Rams, they haven't showed you much in the preseason of anything new. It's very vanilla offense so far. I want to see them get out. I want to see them run a ton of plays, run the hurry-up offense, and get out there and let Mariota do what he did back in Oregon and throw the ball over on short, precise, accurate routes and get those guys the ball. And I think that because Rashard Matthews missed so much of the preseason and didn't really play at all or practice really, that Corey Davis's chance is right now. So he's going to be able to be fully healthy, no hamstring injuries like last year. He's coming into the season at 100%. Here's his chance week 1 to prove it. What better way than to do it against Miami, who has not much of a secondary whatsoever. So I love Corey Davis, and I'm very confident starting my flex spot. If he's my number 2, I'm a little leery, but as a flex starter, I would have all the confidence in the world starting in week 1 on the road against Miami. They're even favored in Miami, which tells you they think they're going to win the game outright, and the over-under is 45 points. Should be a lot of scoring. Most of that should go to Corey Davis, because outside of Corey Davis, besides him and Delaney Walker, not many other options there that I love.
The only thing that worries me about Corey Davis is if the Dolphins themselves view Corey Davis as the number 1, because you've heard a lot about Xavier Howard, the defensive back. Like, he kind of came out of nowhere, and he's been just shutting down people. So that's the only worry that would cause for concern, is that they say, you know what, the Dolphins believe that Corey Davis is the number 1 guy out there, so we're going to have Howard just shadow him all game. That would be the only way I see Corey Davis having a bad game. I know they haven't really gotten a rapport, as far as Mariota and Davis in the offseason, and you just got Rashard Matthews back, but I don't see him making a splash in week 1. So
somebody's got to score here.
Right. That'd be the only thing that would worry me, is if they put Howard on him for the whole game. You may have to just lower your expectations a little bit, but otherwise, if you're rolling out Corey Davis as your 3rd receiver, you got to like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, from where you drafted him, he's going to be your 3rd receiver, so just play him like how you drafted him. So I'm okay with Corey Davis. I definitely like Cooper Kupp as well.
Yeah, if it's between those 2 guys, I'm probably rolling Kupp over Davis. Regardless of how we just drew, I know we're not really going against each other.
Yeah, I would feel more comfortable with Cooper Kupp as well over Davis, for sure.
Okay.
Next name for me is Tariq Cohen from the Chicago Bears, who is going to be, let's see, who does he play, Jay?
Chicago Bears plays on Sunday night against Green Bay.
In Green Bay. To me, this is a very sexy pick, because if you're in a PPR league, which is mostly the standard leagues nowadays, they are a 7.5 or 8-point underdog to Green Bay, which means that Las Vegas and everyone else thinks that Chicago's going to be down. And what happens when you're down is a lot of dump-offs, and we all know that Jordan Howard can't catch. So if Tariq Cohen's going to get 8 to 10 targets, I love that, especially on a Sunday night. So you have that one guy.
Jordan Howard's catching 200 balls after practice on the jugs machine.
I don't buy that worth of anything. So I don't care if he caught 1,000 balls on the jug machine. It's not the same as NFL action out there in the lights. Sunday night, I love playing guys Sunday night, because if you have a bad game on Sunday and all your players are gone, you want a guy on Sunday or Monday night to kind of save the day, and a guy that you can throw out there in your flex spot that could have a huge game as far as receiving-wise is a Cohen-type guy, and so I feel confident starting him in my flex spot on Sunday night. What do you think there?
I have. It's funny you said that you like having a guy late, because I drew Marvin Jones Jr.
There you go.
Who plays on Monday night. So I've had 2 Monday night guys back to back.
Okay.
For the same reason that you like the Sunday night guys, I like having a guy, even if it's a kicker or a defense, if I'm still in one of those leagues.
Anyone.
I like having that just in case I'm behind. It gives me an option to where I could possibly win. Marvin Jones last year was a top 12 wide receiver. I think there's going to be a lot more throwing in the offense like it was last year. Even though they kind of beefed up their running game a little bit with Kerryon Johnson and bringing in LeGarrette Blount.
Right.
I do think they'll run a little more than last year, but they're still a throwing offense.
Right, now you lose Eric Ebron, which means that even more targets are going to be spread around, because what they replace Ebron with is nothing, really.
Luke Wilson,
so,
yeah.
Right, so essentially it's going to be like Kenny Golladay instead of Eric Ebron. So to me, I love all the receivers in Detroit, especially going against the Jets defense, and they're at home, and it's Monday night. They're favored by 6.5 points, so over-under is 45, so clearly they think they're going to score some points, and I like Marvin Jones. If it's between the 2, though, Marvin Jones and Cohen, who do you go with? I like Cohen myself, but...
Especially in PPR. If it's PPR, because I think that Marvin Jones may be a little bit more touchdown dependent. He's a guy that can score touchdowns,
right.
But I think Cohen doesn't need a touchdown to be fantasy relevant.
But Marvin Jones catches one long ball for 65 yards and a touchdown. That's 12.5, maybe 13 points, depending on how your league's set
Especially
up.
if you get bonuses.
That's a lot. So you're
Right.
talking Cohen would need to get, 6 catches for 70 yards. I mean, you know what I mean, to kind of compare.
And I don't see Cohen getting any carries.
I mean, he'll get a couple, I'm sure, but yeah, them being down. If Green Bay comes out to a 14-0 lead in the first half, it's going to be all Cohen in the backfield, just getting dump offs and slants and little gimme receptions, and I like that. I like my guy to have that.
We've been talking all offseason. Like, if you've been following us on iTunes, we've been talking all offseason about how much we like Cohen here.
Right.
I think Cohen's set up for a really good season. I might give the slight edge to Marvin Jones, but literally this is like a coin toss to me between Marvin Jones and Tariq Cohen. I like both of these guys, and if you roll with either one of these guys in your flex, I don't think you're making the wrong choice.
To me, it could come down to if the guy that you're playing week 1 doesn't have anyone on Monday night whatsoever, go Marvin Jones. That way it gives you that chance of, like, if you're down Sunday night going into Monday, if it's that much of a coin flip, that usually will come down to me. It was like which guy plays later to give you that last chance. Okay, you know you're down 12 points. All right, it's okay. I got Marvin Jones. But if you're down 12 with Cohen, and Cohen has a monster game, but the guy has somebody playing on Monday night, now it's like you're sitting back and waiting. Instead of hoping for your guy, you're hoping for a guy not to do well. And I don't like being in that situation. I'd rather cheer for a guy than cheer against somebody else's guy. You know what I mean? I like to cheer for my own guy to get the ball and do whatever, rather than be like, oh my God, every time Tyreek Hill catches the catch, you feel like you're getting kicked in the nuts. I hate that. I'd rather cheer for a guy.
I agree.
So Marvin Jones or Cohen, both viable options for us. I would go with Tarek Cohen though, slightly. Damn it.
All right, my guy, Devin Funchess, Carolina Panthers.
Oh, okay, we're gonna have a nice little
Debate?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good. Okay, so
I don't like either ones.
as of right now, like if you're getting Devin Funchess in your flex spot, he's still a wide receiver 1. Like he hasn't been passed by DJ Moore yet on the depth chart.
Right.
I know DJ Moore flashed a lot in the preseason, but Devin Funchess is the prototypical size, and he's a big target. So you have Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers going against the Dallas Cowboys. Funchess is probably going to get the number 1 corner, which is probably going to be Byron Jones. He's way taller than Byron Jones is, even though Jones
huge, yeah.
Even though Jones can jump out of the gym supposedly. You're talking about Devin Funchess being 6'4", prototypical type. I like him. If you can get a number 1 wide receiver to be in your flex spot with a rookie behind him, like at the end of the season, this may all be different. You may say, DJ Moore is hands down the number 1 wide receiver, but as of right now, he's the number 1 target, I think.
I agree.
If you take out McCaffrey.
And Olsen?
And Olsen is like a security blanket. I don't think Olsen's like a number 1 target.
But
I think
the
he's
wide
there as a
receiver,
security blanket.
but like you're saying, wide receiver, he is the wide receiver 1.
Correct.
But I think, in my opinion, he's the 3rd option already behind McCaffrey and Olsen.
As
far as targets,
he's number 2.
As far as target,
I think he's behind
you think he's going
McCaffrey.
to get more targets than Olsen?
I think he could get more targets than Olsen.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So second/3rd option there. I like him at home against the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not as high in the secondary as you are. Being a Dallas Cowboy fan, you obviously know the team more than I do. But as far as just on first looks and what I've seen in the preseason, I choose to want anybody that's playing against Dallas in the receiving core game to roll them out of my flex spot because I just don't believe in their secondary yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like him as a sneaky flex play. My guy is Sony Michel. Sony Michel, we've heard bad things about him with his knee and then coming off with his knee surgery. Supposedly he's back and he's going to be playing week 1, but you still have Burkhead, you still have James White. But the good plus is that they're so dismantled, New England is, at the wide receiver position that there's going to be plenty of opportunity for any one of these 3 running backs to get some dump down passes and maybe even split them out in the slot, maybe split them out and get a couple of opportunities in the passing game. So between Burkhead and Michel, I love Burkhead more than Michel, but we're talking flex spot. In flex, I don't love Michel week 1. I kind of want to make sure that knee's 100%. I want to see how this Patriot offense kind of copes with being down all these wide receivers. They cut 3 guys. You have Edelman out for 4 weeks. Essentially, you have Chris Hogan and then just a bunch of guys.
They just cut Darbo. Okay, they claimed Darbo off waivers from Seattle, and they just cut him today. I'm sorry, they just cut him a couple days ago.
So they don't. I mean, it's like
so you're looking at they literally have 4 receivers who are like actual wide receivers on their roster, but on the flip side, you have multiple running backs that can all catch.
Correct.
And to me, that's what gives them an advantage because they can split out Burkhead
or James White,
and they can split out James White and put them into a little slot receiver type.
Yeah, against a linebacker.
The only guy that doesn't really catch is Jeremy Hill. Really, I
Right.
mean he can, but he's probably the 4th option as far as all the running backs go as far as catching the ball.
Right.
But you can Sony Michel. He showed at Georgia that he can catch the ball.
Correct.
Anytime. And then you have, like you said, White and you have Burkhead. So just because he may be buried a little bit on the depth chart for running backs doesn't mean he won't get any carries or any touches in that game because they're really thin at receiver.
Right.
Especially for week 1.
So, but you're banking, and you know what? It's supposed to be a high-scoring game. The over-under is like 51 or 51.5. They play the Houston Texans, and they're in New England. So, judging by the line, you have to hope that every team's going to be putting up about 24 to 28 points. There's going to be a lot of throwing and a lot of plays being run there. So, I don't hate Sony Michel on the flex. I'm more of a guy that likes to see it first and make sure the guy is 100% before I roll him out there. But if he's your 3rd running back and you're starting him in your flex, I feel pretty good about that because the over-under is so high that I think that there's going to be plenty of opportunity.
Well, here's my opinion on it: is we talk about strategies with everything, and to me, this is a strategy pick. you go with the safer option of Devin Funchess, or do you go with the higher upside, in my opinion, with Sony Michel?
Definitely
Because
higher upside with Michelle. But
I know Michel's knee was banged up, but he's a guy that can literally take a screen pass and take it 70 yards for a
Right.
touchdown and just outrun everyone.
Excuse
So,
me.
bless you.
Thank you.
Bless him. So, for sure, if you're looking for a higher upside, like you think, you're looking at your opponent's lineup and you're like, man, this guy is stacked and jacked. Like, he could crush me. Go with the higher upside guy like Sony Michel over Devin Funchess because I think Devin Funchess you're gonna get you're gonna get your basic floor.
This is where you and I differ, is because you and Travis both have the same philosophy of starting the guy with more upside. For me, in my flex spot, I don't want to take a shot in the dark. I hate guys like Ted Ginn and Deshaun Jackson, Sony Michel's, and whatever that you're like, I'm not really sure about. All right, I guess I'll wheel him out there. And then the guy has a dud game. Meanwhile, Devin Funchess is going to get his 8 to 10 points. If he has a 15, you're not shocked, but he'll never get you like 30. So, but he's also probably, being the number 1 wide receiver, never going to have a complete dud where he does absolutely nothing. They're going to throw to somebody there, and he's the wide receiver 1. So, I differ in that opinion. It depends on how you are as a fantasy player and how you like your strategies done. Because, yeah, that guy, Sony Michel, could win you your week. Great, he could. But he could also flop. And now you have a starter that's getting you 2 to 3 points, and you start looking at it like, wow, how could I start him over a wide receiver 1? You start, regretting the decision.
If you feel confident in your lineup that you're going to compete with the player you're playing against, then I don't advocate doing that. But if you look and you're playing a guy, especially like in a dynasty league, and you're playing a guy that has 2 top running backs in the top 12, and he has a wide receiver 1, and you're like, man, this guy is just loaded. Like, I got to go with a higher upside. Yeah, that'd be great to get, 6 or 7 points from Devin Funchess, or I go with Michel, who could give me like 14 or 15 if he breaks a 70-yard screen.
I agree. It also depends on who you're playing and how confident, how deep your team is, basically.
To me, I might lean more towards Michel in this case.
I would lean towards Funchess. So, we picked each other's guy there because I don't know. I'd rather have the guy that's more steady than more shot in the dark.
All right. Draw it up.
Always.
You're up next here.
All right, I drew my man Isaiah Crowell. I've been gushing about him for every episode this week, and I guess I'll stay gushing. Okay, for me, you're playing the Detroit Lions. You're playing on Monday night, and you're on the road. For me, Crowell is going to get a ton of touches. There's going to be a lot of scoring in this game because I don't think either team's going to be able to stop the other one. If it comes down to the goal line, Crowell's going to get the carry. If it comes to first and second down, Crowell's going to get those carries as well. Only thing you might not get is a lot of receptions, and if you're talking PPR, then yes, Bilal Powell's got to be looked at for sure. But in a flex spot, you're talking your third running back with a 25-year-old running back who looked really good in Cleveland and never really had to handle the full workload. Same thing here. He's not going to be getting 280 to 300 carries this season, but he's going to get you quality carries on first and second down and not going to be pulled to goal line. That's all you can hope for in a starting running backs in your flex. Is a guy that's going to be not vultured every single time he gets down to the 2-yard line. They yank him and put in a guy like C.J. Anderson at the 1-yard line. They're going to use him the entire game, whether they're winning or losing, because he can still catch. There's a few times where he had 30 catches in Cleveland. He had 40 catches one year in Cleveland. He can catch the ball. Even though that Powell is the main receiving back, he will still get his touches.
And honestly, I think that that game's going to be closer than the sportsbook is putting it at. Because right now they have Detroit is favored by 6.5 points in that game. I think that game's going to be a little bit closer.
Yes.
So I don't think it's going to be where the Jets running game is a non-factor.
I agree. So Crowell to me is gonna. If you tell me my flex guy is gonna get a minimum of 15 to 18 touches, whether it be receptions or running, I like that. I like that. Again, goes with my solid. I know what to expect from my flex, and as long as he gives me what I think is his median line there, I'm okay with it.
But here's the difference: is my guy is Jamal Williams.
Okay.
For the Green Bay Packers.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I know that's a flat out lie because you love some Jamal Williams.
I like him. I like him out of the 3 in the backfield there.
And okay, that perfect point.
But going against Chicago Bears,
Aaron Jones suspended for the first 2 games. So this is basically Jamal Williams' time to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has 2 games to essentially have the running back 1 and 2 to himself because you saw what Tom Montgomery had in the preseason with the fumbling problems and everything like that, and I think they're going to use him more as a receiving back, and we agree on that. I know Travis does not agree with it, and Travis is still holding out hope that Montgomery's going to get first, second, and third downs, but I think that it's going to be Jamal Williams' show for at least the first 2 weeks. Whether he produces or not, this is going to show, because if he doesn't produce, I think Aaron Jones gets a shot week 3.
Here's what's a crappy situation for Jamal Williams. Week 1, he plays at home, which is great, but he goes against a Bears defense who just got Khalil Mack, and by all means is supposed to be a pretty damn decent defense now. Week 2, he has to play the Minnesota Vikings defense. So it's not like Jamal Williams is getting to play the Detroit Lions and the Colts. Like, he's playing the Chicago Bears, and then he gets to play Minnesota back-to-back. So if Jamal Williams doesn't come out and run for 125 yards, don't be surprised. He's not going to just light the world on fire against two top running defenses back-to-back. So Aaron Jones essentially is going to look like a superstar when he comes back and be like, oh, come save the team. But meanwhile, he's playing two top 5 defenses. That's pretty tough to start a season.
The problem that I run into with Jamal Williams is that is it going to be a situation to where Green Bay's offensive line is not the greatest? You've seen what has happened in the past. They're not great. Is it going to be a situation to where Green Bay goes with whoever they think is a better pass protector out of Ty Montgomery and Jamal Williams? And
Which
right
is
now,
probably Ty Montgomery.
Yeah, I don't know who Mike McCarthy chooses to be in that role and who he thinks is better. I would probably give the slight edge to Ty Montgomery. And is that going to be a situation? Like, he's a better pass protector, so is he going to get more playing time just because? Because I think this Bears defense is going to be legit, especially with Khalil Mack. And he's supposed to be suited up for week 1 and ready to go. And I believe he is going to be ready to
For
go.
sure.
And so is that going to be a situation to where Aaron Rodgers is kind of running around for his life? And so they put in the better pass protector. So Jamal Williams is still the quote-unquote starting running back, but Montgomery plays more snaps because he's a better pass protector.
Right. I mean, this is definitely his chance to prove that he can take the starting job, but it's just it's an uphill battle having to go Chicago and then Minnesota.
I want to say Jamal Williams in this particular situation, but I think I'd have to go with Crowell just for a few different factors. Like we said, I think it's going to be a closer game.
Easier
I think
defense.
They're on Monday night, and he has a way easier matchup than Jamal Williams does.
But, you know, I like both options, actually. Like, if you're talking your third guy, so your flex guy for Jamal Williams, assuming he does start the game like we know he's going to, he's going to get the touches. You know what I mean? Especially in the first half. Before anything else happens, whether a team's getting blown out or not, that first quarter and that second quarter, he's going to get all the touches at running back, in my opinion. Ty Montgomery might get some catches, but he's going to be the main guy. So it's just tough. It's an uphill battle for him. For me, it's a coin flip. I guess I would rather go with Crowell just because Detroit's defense, I know it very well, and it's not good. And the Khalil Mack thing is going to be a huge factor if they just basically sit Khalil Mack on the running back. So, good luck.
So here's our next one. I actually like this guy quite a bit. I got Peyton Barber in my flex spot. I own Peyton Barber in 2 dynasty leagues. I was not so much high on his talent, but I liked his situation. He's in a great situation. And then they went out and drafted Ronald Jones, and I kind of got deflated. And I sat through preseason watching, and I watched Ronald Jones just kind of not show anything, and they're still going to give Ronald Jones every chance in the world. He was a second-round draft pick. They're not just going to cut bait on him. But Peyton Barber, right now, from what he's done in the preseason, is a clear-cut starter. And I don't care what excuses you make for Ronald Jones saying, oh, well, he wasn't running with the first team. Well, Barber was, and he was running good against the number 1 defenses. Right. Jones was doing it against the number 2 defenses, and he couldn't do anything.
He averaged less than a yard per carry in the preseason.
It wasn't carries for 22 yards.
Right. It wasn't like he had 6 or 7 carries and didn't have a chance. He had almost 30 touches and just didn't do anything. And then when they tried to throw him the ball, he couldn't catch either. When they tried to set him up to block, he wasn't doing the best of blocking either. So, to me, it's Peyton Barber all the way, and I love Peyton Barber first week against the Saints, who they're probably going to be down. Mm-hmm. They already cut Charles Sims there.
And just last Tuesday, obviously you're listening to us on Saturday morning. Just last Tuesday, the unofficial depth chart came out for Tampa Bay on their website, and they had Ronald Jones listed as the 3rd running back on their depth chart.
Who's 2? Rodgers?
I believe Jacobs Rodgers is, yeah.
So I think it's a heavy dose of both those guys.
It looks like a Peyton Barber. I would even venture to say that Peyton Barber could be used as like an RB2 this week.
Oh, for sure. I'm very confident in starting Peyton Barber against the Saints. And running back 2, if it's a flex, I love it even more. That means it's your 3rd guy, so I love that.
Yeah, it's a good spot for Peyton Barber. And from where you kind of drafted him, he should be your 3rd or 4th running back.
I agree. I drew Michael Crabtree for mine, and this goes kind of with Jay's argument with if you can get a wide receiver 1 to be your flex starter, you kind of love that. They're playing at home. They're playing against the Buffalo Bills, and they're favored by 7 points. Buffalo's defense is nothing great. I mean, they're known for being low-scoring games and kind of keeping the game close type of thing. But Baltimore's favored by 7, and Michael Crabtree is the number 1 option on this team. I really like John Brown there. He's been looking really good. Their tight ends are one of them's hurt. Hayden Hurst is out, and Andrews hasn't really done much in the preseason either. Right. So to me, the options at wide receiver is basically 2 guys, and it's Crabtree and it's John Brown. So I actually like Crabtree to get a lot of targets. I think he's going to get fed often. I just don't. I don't love Flacco. I don't love Baltimore's offense by any means. It's not sexy at all. But to get a wide receiver 1 like Crabtree, it's hard to pass on. So between him and Barber, between any of these guys we've talked about so far, I like Barber the most, and I think Crabtree the second most, because just by pure volume in the situation that he's in, he should easily get 8 targets easily.
And this could go back to a situation like you talked about before with a similar game, is that Baltimore could be just crushing them, and they might not throw that much in the second half.
Could be Alex Collins. It could be Buck Allen show and just run and just run the clock out. But that first half, I look for them to go to Crabtree early and often. He's going to be a red zone target there too, especially with Hayden Hurst out. So I think that Crabtree is going to get, by pure volume, he'll have a decent game.
Yeah, any chance you can start a quote-unquote number 1 wide receiver in your flex spot, you got to be looking and feeling pretty good.
Unless that number 1's on Dallas or Buffalo.
Well, we don't have a number 1 in Dallas.
Joke's on me. We want to do one more?
Let's do one more, yeah.
All right. I go first?
Yeah.
My
Little
pick
buttercup?
is my little buttercup is Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson is the number 2 in Oakland. Again, he's playing on Monday night, and they're playing the Rams. I do not like that at all, whatsoever, just because the Rams' defense and secondary is stacked. But what we said on a previous episode is Oakland, if they are down, the entire second half is going to be playing catch-up in garbage time, which means they're going to be throwing all over the field. So if there's a guy that I want in the receiving core, it's going to be Nelson, because Nelson's able to not only be a deep threat, even though he's getting older, he's also a guy that is not afraid to go across the middle and do short crossing routes and a lot of wide receiver screens, and he's got sure hands. So he's not only a red zone target, but he's a guy that if Derek Carr is going to be in a situation with his back against a wall, it's going to be Cooper and it's going to be Nelson. So the number 2 guy in garbage time is pretty hard to beat. But don't be surprised if Jordy Nelson goes into halftime and has 1 catch for 10 yards, and then you have to hope that the second half he kind of blows up in the prevent defense. So I don't love Jordy Nelson for the entire game, feel confident with him. But if they go down at halftime, then you're going to wish you had Jordy Nelson, because they're going to be throwing all over the field in prevent defense.
I think you're going to like my guy better. My guy is Emmanuel Sanders from the Denver Broncos. They play at home, and they play against the Seattle Seahawks. And we talked about earlier in the week, Denver's home record in September is 12-1
for the last 6 years, right?
Yeah, since 2012. They win games, and I think that both Sanders and Demaryius Thomas are both candidates for Bounce Back City.
For sure.
I think that
Case Keenum's nothing great, but he's 10 times better than what they had for the last 3 years.
Yeah, he is definitely better than Trevor Siemian. He's better than Paxton Lynch. And they signed him to a 2-year deal, so he's not looking in the rearview mirror as of yet. Okay, that's not to say that down the road that Chad Kelly doesn't come knocking on that door. But as of right now, Case Keenum, it's his job.
Right, they just named Royce Freeman as a starting running back, which I like way more than Booker. I think that they're going to run Freeman early and often, and I think that they're favored by 3. The over-under is 43. I think that Denver does most of the scoring in this game to get that total of 43 points.
If you want to break it down a little bit more, like in a PPR situation, to me, Emmanuel Sanders is more of a PPR guy than Demaryius Thomas. So he's a guy that you could easily see getting 7 or 8 catches for 100, 110 yards, and doesn't even have to catch a touchdown.
To me, last season, Emmanuel Sanders was always sketchy to start. I know that he was your number 3 on one of your teams, and he was Paul's number 3 on one of his teams, and every single week it was I would feel comfortable starting him over Demaryius Thomas because, like you said, he's the shorter route guy with a more PPR upside, but you just didn't trust the quarterback play. Now you have Case Keenum, and I don't know how much you trust him either, though. He had one great season in Minnesota with a really good offensive line and a lot of talent around him. Now you go to Denver, who has a pretty average or above average offensive line and a lot of talent around him. So you would assume that he would succeed, but you also wouldn't mind seeing it first before you just roll out a guy. But I'm very confident that Emmanuel Sanders, being there for as long as he has, knowing the playbook as much as he does, he's going to be just fine as your wide receiver 3. That's a steal for me.
I would definitely have him ahead of Jordy Nelson as far as a flex spot goes.
If Jordy Nelson was playing Detroit Lions on Monday night instead of the Rams, I would like Jordy Nelson more. But the fact that he's playing against the Rams with a great secondary, an even better defensive line, you're going to hope for garbage time. So if you're a Jordy Nelson owner, start him with the assumption that if he doesn't do anything in the first half, don't panic. You'll be fine by the end of the game.
And then just watch him force feed the hell out of Amari Cooper.
Right.
17 targets.
It's going to be Cooper and Nelson. Both should get double-digit targets by the end of that game, I think. Unless they just get absolutely stomped and they start putting Seth Roberts in.
Yikes.
But I like the Rams and
Brandon LaFell.
The more we keep talking, Brandon LaFell. The more we keep talking, the more I like the Rams and I like the Denver Broncos week 1. Put that on a 2-teamer.
That's scary because I like the same thing. So usually when we agree on it, it usually doesn't win. So
don't bet it.
Yeah, proceed with caution.
Yeah, whatever you were going to bet, cut that bet in half, and then cut that bet in half again, and then bet it.
Or tease the hell out of it.
Oh, yeah, tease it. There you go. Guarantee it. Anything else you want to add to the flex coverage? Want to do one more name or no?
No, let's not do one more name. We're going to kind of stick with this kind of format. Hopefully next week we have Travis back with us for this format, and he'll kind of throw his 2 cents in too.
Yeah, we can take turns.
And also, what I wanted to add is we're kind of just picking guys that are in that flex area, but if you want to email us or if you want to message us on Twitter or Instagram and you want to give us your own
I think
flex.
we should put up a question on either Friday morning or Saturday morning on Triple Coverage Podcast on Instagram, and it's going to say, give us your flex option, and you
From
type
your actual team.
Yeah, you type the question into your team, and then once we receive it, we can answer it, and then we'll put it back on our story so that you can go back and read it and see who we went with, and hopefully we make the right choice for you.
Yeah,
That's the easiest you can get to us is Instagram. Once we put up that question and put up that poll, you answer real quick. It'll go to me or Jay, and we'll answer back usually within a couple of hours. Don't wait till Sunday morning at 9:55 to do it, though. If you're going to do it, ask us on Saturday or Sunday morning before 9 a.m. We should be able to get to it.
Yep.
All right, let's crack it.
That's correct.